Updating global news. First, the headlines. Rivers leaders call for peace as Fubara marks birthday. Soludo slams traders' insecurity claims over Monday's shutdown. Tinubu condoles Wilfred Ndidi over father's death. CBN approves temporary use of expired NAFDAC licenses. U.S. unfreezes Venezuelan funds as diplomatic ties improve. Coventry City lead race for Brentford's Frank Onyeka. Kanye West issues fresh apology over anti-Semitic rants. As Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara marks his birthday, political leaders, supporters and well-wishers across the state have continued to send goodwill messages, many of them calling for peace, reconciliation and unity amid ongoing political tensions. Messages from across the political divide commended the governor's resilience and leadership, while urging all stakeholders to embrace dialogue, restraints, and cooperation in the overall interest of Rivers State. Civil society groups, community leaders, and youth organizations also joined in appeals, stressing that peace and reconciliation are crucial for restoring confidence, sustaining economic activities, and ensuring effective governance. Observers say the birthday comes at a sensitive period in Rivers State's political landscape, with many expressing hope that the spirit of goodwill surrounding the occasion will expressing hope that the spirit of goodwill surrounding the occasion will translate into concrete steps towards dialogue and lasting peace. Rivers State government has dismissed claims that Governor Siminalayi Fubara removed the official portrait of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu from Government House, Port Harcourt. In a statement issued on Monday, the government described the allegation as false, misleading, and unsupported by facts. The claim was attributed to an individual allegedly speaking for a faction of the National Youth Council of Nigeria in Rivers State. The Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Information and Communications, Dr. Onokuru Sirawo, said there is no policy or intention by the state government to disrespect the president or undermine the federal government. The government stressed that Rivers State enjoys a cordial working relationship with the federal government under President Tinubu in line with the Renewed Hope agenda. It urged the public, especially youths, to disregard what it describes as inflammatory and divisive statements capable of heightening political tensions, and called for calm, truth, and responsible engagement in the interest of peace and progress. Operatives of the Delta State Police Command have dismantled the court-killing network linked to recent court clashes in Ughelli town. The operation was carried out by the CP Special Assignment Team following a directive by the Commissioner of Police, Aina Adeshola, for an intensified manhunt for cultists across the state. Police spokesperson Bright Dafe said intelligence-led operations led to the arrest of 8 suspects connected to the killing of a 37-year-old man, Alex Adanike, in Ughelli. He said the suspects confessed to being members of the Supreme Vikings confraternity with a locally made gun and live cartridges recovered. In a separate operation in Sapele, 3 more suspects were arrested at a criminal hideout with weapons, illicit drugs, a bulletproof vest, and a suspected operational vehicle recovered. The police command said investigations are ongoing to uncover wider links to cultism and other violent crimes, assuring residents of its commitments to restoring peace and security across Delta State. Residents blocked the Onitsha Head Bridge in Anambra State on Wednesday in protest against the closure of the Onitsha main market. The demonstration followed the directive by Anambra State Governor Chukwuma Soludo ordering a 1-week shutdown of the market. Videos shared by the African Democratic Congress showed protesters barricading access to the bridge linking Anambra and Delta State, disrupting movement in and out of the area. The protest escalated after traders had earlier taken to the streets, expressing opposition to the closure and chanting slogans against the state government. Some demonstrators were also heard voicing support for detained IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu. The Onitsha Head Bridge is a major commercial route, and the blockade caused significant traffic disruption as tension rose. Anambra State Governor Chukwuma Soludo has described as delusional claims by some traders at the Onitsha main market that they do not open their shops on Mondays because of insecurity. The governor insisted that the sit-at-home order ended in Anambra State in 2023, describing the continued closure of shops on Mondays as economic sabotage. Soludo argued that with heavy security presence at the Onitsha main market, traders have no justification for staying away, especially when other activities such as street trading, sports and movements continue on Mondays. He ordered the closure of the Onitsha main market for 1 week, warning that the shutdown could be extended if traders fail to reopen fully afterward. The governor stressed that the market belongs to the state government and must operate 6 days a week, adding that shop ownership could be revoked for defaulters. However, some traders expressed concerns over safety along routes leading to the market, citing limited security presence, lack of transport services, and banks not opening on Mondays as reasons for their fears. Governor Soludo reiterated that his administration remains committed to ending sit-at-home disruptions and restoring full economic activities across Anambra State. Operatives of the Ekiti State Police Command have uncovered an illegal baby factory in Ikere local government area of the state. The Commissioner of Police, Joe Eribo, said the operation followed a credible tip-off leading to the arrest of a 43-year-old woman, Onyechi Oluwadare, alongside 4 other suspects at a location behind a hotel along Ise Ekiti Road. Police said 6 children aged between 2 and 9 years suspected to be victims of exploitation were rescued during a search of the premises. Items recovered included baby delivery materials, drugs, and other supplies. The prime suspects denied running the baby factory, claiming the building was only used for prayers. In a separate operation, police also arrested a suspected cattle rustler, Ibrahim Abubakar, who allegedly confessed to rustling activities across Ekiti, Kwara, and Kogi states. Police said a total of 558 cattle were recovered during the operation, while investigations continue. Operatives of the Force Criminal Investigation Department, Alagbon Annex in Lagos, have arraigned the man, Samson Onao-Lapo, before the Federal High Court over an alleged $7,000 online romance fraud. Onao-Lapo appeared before Justice Alexander Owoye and was charged with 4 counts bordering on conspiracy, impersonation, obtaining money by false pretense, and stealing. The police alleged that the defendant posed as an American citizen identified as Spark to defraud 2 victims, Patty Anna and Linda Morgan. According to the prosecution led by Williams Tijani, the suspect allegedly used an email address to carry out the scam and obtained the sum of $7,000, knowing the funds were proceeds of unlawful activity. The offenses were said to have been committed between 2019 and 2024 and contravene provisions of the Advance Free Fraud Act, the Cybercrimes Act, the Money Laundering Act, and the Criminal Code. Onaolapo pleaded not guilty to all charges. Following his plea, the prosecution asked the court to fix a trial date and remand the defendant in custody. However, defense counsel Olalekan Ogunbumi requested a short adjournment to file a formal bail application, noting that he had just taken up the case. Justice Owoye adjourned the matter to May 27, 2026 for the commencement of trial and ordered that the defendant be remanded at a correctional facility pending the hearing of his bail application, I beg your pardon. Chairman of the Nigeria Union of Journalists, Oyo State Council, Akim Abbas, says artificial intelligence can only replace journalists who fail to update their digital skills. Abbas spoke in Ibadan during a two-day AI training organized by the Oyo NUJ in collaboration with the American Open University. He said digitally empowered journalists are not a threat to national development, but strategic partners in nation building, stressing that AI competence would expand career opportunities for media professionals beyond traditional reporting. According to him, journalists equipped with AI skills can function as media consultants, policy advisors, data analysts, and founders of tech-driven media platforms, including fact-checking hubs and investigative labs. Abbas urged journalists to embrace analytical and solution-oriented journalism, adding that AI should amplify human judgment, not replace it. Also speaking, Oyo State Commissioner for Information, Dotun Oyelade, described AI as beneficial, but warned against its misuse, noting that data-driven governance has significantly improved the internally generated revenue in the state. The acting vice-chancellor of American Open University, Sheyi Akambi, urged journalists to deploy AI responsibly to combat misinformation and uphold professional standards. Kwara State has attracted two major foreign investments valued at $35 million, reinforcing Governor Abdurrahman Abdurrazak's push for industrialization and economic growth. According to a statement by the governor's spokesman, Rafiu Ajakaye, the investments are led by Aircan Company Limited, which has completed and commenced operations of a $20 million lithium processing factory in the state. The company's team lead, Song King Rong, said the factory processes lithium into finished materials instead of exporting it raw, employing over 300 workers, most of them indigents of Kwara State. He also disclosed plans to establish a pharmaceutical company worth over $15 million, which will produce infusion and injectable drugs to address shortages in Nigeria, while partnering with the state government on the Industrial Park project. Governor Abdurrazak welcomed the investments, describing them as a boost to job creation, technology transfer, and local economic development, and assured investors of continued government support. The development is part of the state's broader strategy to position itself as a hub for manufacturing and foreign direct investment. Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, the 2023 presidential candidate of the New Nigerian People's Party, has declared that Kano State Governor Abba Yusuf will not secure re-election in 2027 following his defection to the All Progressives Congress. Kwankwaso, a former governor of Kano State, made the assertion during an interview while reacting to the governor's move from the NNPP to the ruling party. He argued that Yusuf effectively jeopardized his political future. That Yusuf effectively jeopardized his political future by aligning with the APC, insisting that the governor's chances ended once former APC national chairman Abdullahi Ganduje publicly endorsed him. According to Kwankwaso, the decision to leave the NNPP amounts to a betrayal that will carry serious political consequences. He maintained that any claims by the governor of being obstructed while in office would be addressed by the NNPP leadership, adding that Yusuf would ultimately regret abandoning the party that brought him to power. Sokoto State Police Command has urged eligible youths to take advantage of the extended deadline for ongoing recruitment into the Nigeria Police Force. The extension was announced by the Police Service Commission, shifting the closing date from January 25 to February 8, 2026, to ensure balanced nationwide representation. Speaking in Sokoto, the Police Public Relations Officer, DSP Ahmad Rufai, said the Sokoto State Police Command wants the states to be fully represented in the exercise. He stressed that the recruitment is free and strictly online, warning applicants against scammers and middlemen demanding money. Rufai encouraged youths from all 23 local governments areas to apply through the PSC portal before the new deadline, noting that improved local recruitment will strengthen community policing and security efforts in the state. Activities at the Federal Capital Territory Administration and its affiliated MDAs began picking up on Wednesday as workers resumed duties following a ruling by the National Industrial Court of Nigeria ordering the suspension of the strike. The court, presided over by Justice E.D. Sobelim, directed workers under the Joint Union Action Committee to suspend the industrial action to allow dialogue to continue. Following the ruling, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, urged workers to return to work immediately, stressing that while protest is a democratic right, court orders must be obeyed. Our Abuja correspondent, Joseph Moses Mawunyika, completes the story.
Workers should not lose sight that before we came here, there's nothing like FCT Civil Service Commission. Workers should not lose the fact that they had no permanent secretaries. Workers should not lose sight that we were operating under TSA. This administration, under the present government of Ahmed Bola Tinubu. So listen, you cannot deny or stagnate the growth of workers. Workers were retiring here at the level of directorship. It was under this administration that they had to get to permanent secretaries. It's under this administration they had to have the first head of service. It's under this administration they had to be Civil Service Commission that looks now to the promotion of workers. If we're still under TSA, where would you have gotten the money to say, oh, you want this, you want that? Okay, so assuming we have 30 billion, you want us to expend the entire money in the welfare of workers. Look at the massive infrastructure development that we're doing. Where does the money come from? So when people cannot be realistic and begin to align themselves with politicians, then we will not allow it. There's no amount of blackmail. There's no amount of insults that anybody can begin to say and that will touch me. No, if they should know my record. No. What is right is what is right. What is wrong is wrong. You can't intimidate the administration, blackmail anybody. I have somebody say yesterday, oh, the workers were chasing me away. Where was that? I was in the office here. I finished working. At the time I came into the office, there was nobody at the gate. I left to the airport to see Mr. President travel to Turkey. Came back. So where are they getting this information if they are not blackmailers or who have been hired by politicians? The moment you don't longer act as a worker, you now work as a politician, then I face you. I will treat you the way politicians have been treated. The court has cut off. If anybody dares again to block the gate, we use the person as scapegoat because you must obey the law. We're in a democracy, we're not a military government. If we're in a military government, obviously, we will not allow the strike. But we say the democracy, go and ventilate. And we have to go to court. Let the court look at it dispassionately. Who is wrong, who is right? Not necessarily what you sell out to members, turn out to members of the public. Oh, you remove Wike. What has that got to do with it? If Wike is removed, will you be the one here? So you leave what you're supposed to do, and you begin to convert for a different thing. So I felt it is necessary. We know a lot of black legs. We know even some directors who are part of it. We know. Because things are no longer the same. It's no longer business as usual. Here, directors before were awarding contracts left, right, and center. And now we said, no, that cannot happen again. Then they begin to instigate workers who don't agree, we have so much money. Where's the money you have?
Leadership of the Nigerian Labour Congress has expressed solidarity with striking workers of the Federal Capital Territory Administration following a court order directing them to suspend their industrial action. In a statement by the Acting General Secretary of the NLC, Benson Upa, the Congress described the ruling of the National Industrial Court as surprising and distasteful, urging workers not to be discouraged by the decision. The NLC faulted the court for allegedly failing to examine key grievances raised by the workers, including claims of non-remittance of pension deductions and the National Housing Fund. It also placed organizations and individuals violating the Pension Reform Act and National Housing Fund Act on notice, warning of serious engagement if such infractions persist. On Tuesday, Justice Emmanuel Sublime of the National Industrial Court ordered FCTA workers to suspend their strike pending the hearing of the suit filed by the Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike. The court held that strikes must be suspended once a dispute is referred to the Industrial Court, citing provisions of the Trade Disputes Act, and warned that non-compliance could attract sanctions. Following the ruling, Minister Wike directed all FCTA workers to resume duties immediately, warning that disciplinary action would be taken against the faulters. The case has been adjourned to March 25, 2026. Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps in Zamfara State has arrested a suspected child trafficker and 16 others over alleged illegal field dealings. The command spokesperson, Omar Mohammed, said a 31-year-old man, Jerry Peter, from Kebbi State, was arrested on January 24 in Gusau while allegedly attempting to traffic 5 underage children. He explained that the suspect was intercepted at night while traveling with the minors and was believed to be planning to move them out of the state. The children were rescued unharmed while the suspect was handed over to the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons for further investigation. In a related operation, the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps said it arrested 16 suspects between January 21 and 23 for illegal fuel dealings across several parts of Zamfara State. The suspects were found with 1,860 liters of petroleum products, including premium motor spirit and automotive gas oil, stored in jerry cans and allegedly purchased without authorization. The NSCDC said investigations are ongoing and assured that all suspects would be prosecuted according to the law. President Bola Tinubu has extended condolences to the Super Eagles midfielder Wilfred Ndidi over the death of his father, Sunday Ndidi. Sunday Ndidi reportedly died in a road accident on Tuesday in Umunede, near Agbo, Delta State. In a statement issued by his special advisor on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, the president described the death as tragic and expressed sympathy with the Ndidi family. President Tinubu said the late Sunday Ndidi played a significant role as a mentor and guide in his son's football career, adding that his humility and integrity left a lasting impact on those around him. He prayed for God's comfort for the family and for the peaceful repose of the deceased soul. Wilfred Ndidi's club, Leicester City, also confirmed the incident and expressed sadness over the loss. Senate has moved to discuss in a closed-door session an alleged breach of Nigeria's territorial integrity following a reported United States military strike on Nigerian soil in December. The matter was raised on the floor of the Senate on Wednesday by Abdul Ningi, who spoke on the matters of privilege. Senator Ningi expressed concern over what he described as the audacity of a reported U.S. airstrike in Sokoto State on Christmas Day, saying lawmakers were not briefed on the operation despite it occurring within Nigeria's borders.
Times in December, the United States of America, via its military, took a hit into Nigerian territory, which is a complete violation of this document, which you also to protect, which is a complete breach of the United Nations Charter. Executive Act, but the legislature must talk. In spite of the good intention of the American military, in spite of whatever achievement that the hit made, Mr. President, if we continue to say that the National Assembly that is vested with these powers under Part 4 and will remain mum. Mr. President, this assembly has a core responsibility in governance. This assembly has a core accountability in governance. This assembly is not an appendage of the executive. This assembly is not a department of the executive. And therefore, for every action intended, the leadership of the National Assembly must be taken along. It is not right. This is our second day. We have not heard from the chairman of the National Assembly as regards to this serious matter. If we allow this matter to go on like this, the American government is not the only powerful military on the face of the earth. If we begin to dilly-dally with this, the Russians wanted something and we refuse, they can take a hit because they are very powerful, they can reach us. The United States Army, military, if we deny them their interests, they can take a hit.
Responding, Senate President Godswill Akpabio acknowledged the seriousness of the allegation but said issues bordering on national security are not appropriate for open debate. He directed that the matter be discussed in an executive session to allow for a more detailed and confidential briefing.
Raise is that your privilege has been breached. I've read the section 9, I understand it, and I was about to let you know that your privilege has not yet been breached. If you can allow me, I can explain. Yesterday, because it's a matter of security, we really should not discuss it in the open. We should have a closed session so that you will be well briefed. But we lost the Senior Senator Akwashiki on our first sitting, and there was no time to undertake that. So you are very right. Your point of order is noted, and I want to assure you that just like you read on the pages of newspapers that the attack, I'm sure you are referring to what happened in Sokoto, happened with the concurrence and the collaboration of the Nigerian security services. We have also been so brief, but we need to brief you in closed session. We need to brief you in closed session. Security is not something that we speak in the market.
Senate has deferred consideration of the Electoral Act 2022 repeal and enactment bill, resolving to reconvene in an executive session for detailed scrutiny before taking a final decision. The decision followed deliberations on the report of the Senate Committee on Electoral Matters during plenary. Held in the absence of the committee chairman, Simon Lalong, lawmakers agreed to step down debate on the report to allow senators to study the bill thoroughly, with consideration expected to resume on Thursday. Senate President Godswill Akpabio said the bill requires careful examination due to its far-reaching impact on Nigeria's electoral process, especially with elections approaching. Although the House of Representatives has passed the bill, the Senate said closed-door discussions would be held on sensitive provisions to ensure transparency, electoral integrity, and public confidence. The committee noted that the proposed reforms would expand voter participation, curb electoral fraud, and strengthen the capacity of independent National Electoral Commission. House of Representatives has urged the Senate to act on several pending bills for the benefit of Nigerians. The lawmaker representing Andoni Opobo Nkoro Federal Constituency, Awaji Inombek Abiante, made the call during plenary on Wednesday. He cited key bills including the closed-circuit television (CCTV) bill, which he said will strengthen intelligence gathering and national security, as well as the Sea Fisheries Act of 1974, noting that its current 50,000 naira fine for illegal fishing is no longer punitive enough. Abiante expressed concern that some of the bills, though amended and passed by the House, have remained pending in the Senate for 3 consecutive assemblies, starting from the 8th Assembly.
Speaker, I also recall that we had raised a concern that most of our bills, as passed here, to better the lot of Nigeria and Nigerians, are usually not given attention from the Senate. It is still a worry. It is still a concern. I am not asking for an update. Mr. Speaker, I want to put it on record and reference some very critical bills that are still lying where I do not know. We have raised issues of security here. Mr. Speaker, there is a bill before the Senate, and that bill intends to make the provision of closed-circuit televisions compulsory in all public places. Heads of intelligence units in the various services had made contributions towards this bill. But as we speak, the bill is still lying somewhere for reasons I do not know. The issue of the Boston bomber some time ago in the United States was not resolved by cameras of government. It was the cameras of a private establishment. And that is what we had wanted Nigeria to leverage upon. Allow public spaces to provide intelligence, gather information that will guarantee that we are safe. Not that you walk into a place and they are only interested in knowing what happens within the supermarket. If anything is happening around them, they do not know. Mr. Speaker, this bill has been in Parliament for 3 consecutive assemblies. From the 8th Assembly, we passed it, Senate did not consider it. The 9th Assembly, it was passed the same thing. Even as we speak, we have passed it here and we have moved it to the Senate. Who is afraid of having our environment monitored and intelligence gathered to support the security? Who is afraid? Mr. Speaker, in line with this, I want to commend this House for creating a separate committee for ocean and fisheries. We have created a committee for ocean and fisheries. It has also helped in improving the quantum of fish output in this country, Nigeria. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, sir, the bill that should have helped the local fishermen in my village is still lying somewhere, not considered. The Sea Fisheries Act of 1974 provides only 50,000 naira as fine for illegal fishing. I can bring my vessel from anywhere and fish in this country. The only fine made available is 50,000 naira. And it is not punitive enough to deter illegal fishing in this country. We have amended that bill, we have forwarded it to the Senate, and they are still sitting on that bill till now as we speak. Mr. Speaker, I want to plead that whatever mechanism that you have used and you are still using, please push beyond where you are so that we can have these bills passed for the benefit of Nigerians.
Leadership have noted what you said, and I'm sure that the Chairman Rules and Business knows what to do with regards to some of the issues that you raise, outstanding bills that are before the Senate, and these are very important bills that will help this nation. And I'm aware of these bills that he referred to and the journey of some of these bills. Please prioritize them and let us have a feedback by next week. If you are in session, if not so, after the budget, we need to see how far they have progressed.
Meanwhile, the House announced that debate on the general principles of the 2026 appropriation bill will commence on Thursday, January 29, 2026. Deputy Speaker Benjamin Kalu, who presided over plenary, urged lawmakers to study the budget document thoroughly to enable informed contributions. President Bola Tinubu had presented the 58.18 trillion naira 2026 budget to a joint session of the National Assembly in December 2025, pledging improved fiscal discipline and results-driven governance. Federal government has unveiled plans to deploy military veterans to help secure Nigeria's ungoverned spaces as part of efforts to strengthen national security and stimulate economic activities in conflict-affected areas. This follows the inauguration of an 8-member committee by the Minister of Defense, retired General Christopher Musa, tasked with reclaiming ungoverned spaces and repositioning the Nigerian Legion Corps of commissionaries and veterans. Speaking at the event, the Defense Minister said deploying veterans would complement ongoing military operations by bringing experienced personnel into local security and development initiatives, especially in areas with weak state presence. He explained that the move signals a shift from over-reliance on military offensives to a more inclusive and sustainable security approach that also addresses the socio-economic causes of insecurity. The committee's terms of reference include repositioning veterans to support national economic development, deploying them to secure ungoverned spaces, and strengthening the operational effectiveness of the Nigerian Legion Corps of Commissionaries. General Musa said the initiative reflects the federal government's commitment to improving veterans' welfare while ensuring they continue to contribute meaningfully to national stability after retirement. He added that integrating veterans into security and development efforts would improve intelligence gathering, strengthen community trust, and enhance local ownership of security initiatives. Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetokun says access to affordable housing is critical to improving the welfare, morale, and productivity of officers of the Nigeria Police Force. Egbetokun spoke while receiving the Managing Director of the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, Shehu Osidi, and his management team during a courtesy visit to the force headquarters in Abuja. According to the IGP, providing sustainable and affordable housing for police personnel remains a top priority, noting that officers with decent living conditions are better motivated to perform their constitutional duties. He stressed that stronger institutional partnerships with housing agencies are essential to achieving long-term welfare goals for serving officers and retirees. Earlier, the FMBN Managing Director described the police force as a key institutional partner and called for deeper collaboration to improve access to mortgage and housing benefits for police personnel. The bank also reaffirmed its commitment to expanding affordable housing solutions for officers through tailored mortgage products and improved service delivery. We will go on a short break now, and when we return, we will continue with the rest of the stories. Please stay with us. back and thank you for staying with us. Now to the rest of our story. Central Bank of Nigeria has approved the temporary use of expired NAFDAC licenses for import documentation purposes. In a circular issued on January 26, 2026, the Apex Bank said authorized dealer banks may continue processing from M applications using NAFDAC licenses that expired on December 31, 2025. The CBN explained that the decision followed operational challenges linked to the migration from the legacy Nigeria Integrated Customs Information Systems, the second platform, which has affected license renewal and validation. The approval takes immediate effect and will last for 2 months, ending on February 28, 2026. According to the bank, importers have faced difficulties renewing NAFDAC licenses, particularly due to challenges encountered on the Biodogu platform after December 2025. To prevent delays and ease bottlenecks in import documentation, the CBN directed authorized dealer banks to continue accepting the affected licenses strictly for Form M processing within the approved period. The Apex Bank added that the move is aimed at ensuring continuity in trade transactions while NAFDAC completes the integration of its systems with the national single window. The CBN stressed that the arrangement is temporary and will automatically lapse on February 28, 2026. Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited has increased the pump price of petrol to 835 naira per litre in Lagos and 839 naira per litre in Abuja. The new prices took effect on Wednesday across NNPCL retail outlets, representing a 50 naira increase in Lagos and 20 naira increase in Abuja from previous rates. The adjustment comes barely a day after Dangote Petroleum Refinery raised its ex-gantry petrol price to 799 naira per litre. The refinery's chief executive officer, David Bird, said the facility supplies about 50 million litres of PMS daily, assuring that distribution nationwide remains seamless. Following the revision, partner outlets, including MRS filling stations, are now selling petrol at 839 per litre, up from 739 naira. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority says increased competition in the downstream sector will help moderate fuel prices over time. The regulator added that subsidy removal has allowed market forces to improve supply efficiency and support price stability nationwide. You're still watching the news on Atlantic Television, and up next is our international tidbits. United States has begun unblocking Venezuelan funds frozen under sanctions, signaling a thaw in relations between both countries. Venezuela has been under U.S. sanctions, including an oil embargo, since 2019 after disputed elections that returned Nicolas Maduro to power. During President Donald Trump's first term, billions of dollars belonging to Venezuela were frozen in international accounts. Speaking on state television, Venezuela's interim president, Delcy Rodriguez, said the unfrozen funds belong to the Venezuelan people and will be used to purchase hospital equipment for the United States and other countries. She did not disclose the amount released. Rodriguez, who assumed office following the removal of Maduro earlier this year, said her government has opened communication channels with Washington based on mutual respect. She confirmed ongoing engagements with President Trump and U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio aimed at settling a working agenda. The interim leader has sought to improve ties with the United States, including discussions around access to Venezuela's vast oil reserves. President Trump has described her leadership as strong and said the U.S. is already benefiting from Venezuelan oil. However, Secretary of State Marco Rubio is expected to warn that Rodriguez could face the same fate as Maduro if her government fails to meet Washington's expectations. Meanwhile, the U.S. has appointed Laura F. Dogo as its new charge d'affaires to Venezuela, a move seen as a step toward restoring full diplomatic relations. On the issue of elections, Maduro's son, Nicolas Maduro Guerra, said there is no constitutional basis for fresh polls, insisting elections are not under consideration. Iran has executed a man convicted of spying for Israel's intelligence agency, Mossad. The judiciary said Hamid Reza Sabet Esmail Plor, arrested in April 2025, was hanged at dawn after being found guilty of passing sensitive information to Mossad and assisting alleged sabotage operations at Iranian missile sites. According to the judiciary's new outlet, Esmail Plor also purchased equipment and moved vehicles rigged with explosives to aid Israel. Rights groups say the execution is part of a wider crackdown following the 12-day conflict between Iran and Israel in June, noting that at least 12 people have been executed on similar charges since then. They have also raised concerns that protesters arrested during recent demonstrations could face capital charges amid reports of thousands killed and tens of thousands detained. During the unrest, Iran has pledged swift trials for suspects accused of collaborating with Israel, a country it does not recognize, while a rights group warn that confessions may be obtained under torture and innocent people executed. And to our sports news. Coventry City are reportedly leading the race to sign Frank Onyeka from Brentford. According to football journalist Nizar Kinsella, Coventry City are keen to conclude the deal before the close of the current transfer window. The Nigeria international has struggled for regular playing time at Brentford this season. In 9 appearances across all competitions without starting a Premier League game. The 28-year-old is said to be seeking a move in order to secure more consistent game time, with Brentford reportedly open to either a loan or permanent transfer. Onyeka spent last season on loan at German side Augsburg, while Sky Bet Championship clubs Birmingham City and Sheffield United have also been linked with interest in the midfielder. Former Africa Cup of Nations winning coach Claude Leroy has revealed how Nigeria played a key role in Senegal's victory over Morocco in the final of the 2025 AFCON. Leroy said Morocco were the best team overall in the tournament, but arrived at the final exhausted after a grueling semi-final against Nigeria. According to him, the Atlas Lions were held for more than 2 hours by the Super Eagles in a match that ended in a penalty shootout, which drained their energy and affected their performance in the final. The semi-final clash went to penalties after regulation time, with Morocco winning 4-2, following missed spot kicks by Samuel Chukwueze and Bruno Oyemachi. Leroy said the intense encounter left Morocco slower and less focused against Senegal, who were the better side in the final. He added that while Morocco dominated the tournament overall, Senegal deserved the title based on their performance in the final. Nigeria finished the tournament strongly, winning the third-place match on penalties against Egypt, with goalkeeper Stanley Nwabali playing a decisive role. And to our entertainment news. Famous American singer Kanye West has issued another public apology over his past anti-Semitic remarks. The apology, titled "To Those Who I Have Hurt," was published on Monday and was paid for by his fashion brand Yeezy. In the statement, Kanye West linked his past outbursts to brain injury he said he sustained during a car accident about 25 years ago. He explained that the injury, which was not properly diagnosed at the time, later contributed to his mental health struggles and bipolar type 1 diagnosis. The apology comes nearly 3 years after a Jewish advocacy group, Stop Anti-Semitism, rejected his earlier attempts at reconciliation. And that's the global news for tonight. Before we go, another look at the major stories. Rivers leaders call for peace as Fulbara marks birthday. Solodo slams traders' insecurity claims over Monday's shutdown. Tinubu condoles Wilfred Ndidi over father's death. CBN approves temporary use of expired NAFDAC licenses. U.S. unfreezes Venezuelan funds as diplomatic ties improve. Coventry City lead race for Brentford's Frank Onyeka. Kanye West issues fresh apology over anti-Semitic rants. I am Francis Neka. Thank you for watching. You can follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, now X, at Atlantic TV Net, Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Television Network, on Instagram at Atlantic TV Network. Peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you for watching.